Welcome to the Dietitian Side Hustle podcast. My name is Katie Dodd, and I'm a nutrition entrepreneur. I spent 7 years as a side hustler before diving into entrepreneurship full time. Before making the leap, I was bringing in 6 figures through my side hustle. If I can do it, you can too. This podcast is for dietitians, interns, and students who want to be inspired to start or perfect the side hustle of their dreams. Let's do this. Hello and welcome to the 268th episode of the Dietitian Side Hustle podcast, the Geriatric Dietitian 2X Project. Now, I'm really excited about this episode. I'm making it for you guys to show you what's possible, but then I'm also making it for me to hold myself accountable. So I'm going to kind of be a little bit all over the place as we get into today's episode. But one thing I do want to give a shout out to is YouTube. You can watch all of the Dietitian Side Hustle podcast episodes on YouTube, and this particular episode might be nice to see on YouTube because I actually made slides to show you all the things. Now, where this episode is coming from is after last week, I talked to you guys about how, life can change in 4 months. I shared my story about how I quit my job and I'm starting up my Blog Boss Virtual Mastermind. And as I'm dreaming and as I'm scheming for myself between now and the end of the year, I'm like, well, gosh, what do I want to do? I want to do something big and I want to share it with my audience to show you guys what's possible. So really what we're talking about on the 2X project for the Geriatric Dietitian is a plan that I'm going to be doing between now and the end of the year. So again, if you're on YouTube, you'll see the slides. If you're listening to the podcast, that's fine. I will do my best to describe any graphics when I refer to them. So let me tell you about what this project is. This project is a challenge. It is a challenge for myself. I am going to be coaching myself using the techniques that I teach my own students. So in this episode, you're going to hear me go through my own brand, the Geriatric Dietitian. That is my blog. For anyone who doesn't know, I guess I should back up and share that. My name's Katie. In addition to hosting this podcast, I'm also a blogger at the Geriatric Dietitian. So what we're going to do in this episode is you're going to see me auditing my own blog business and then making a plan to 2x my income from the Geriatric Dietitian by the end of 2025. Now that's a pretty audacious goal, 2x my income in just under 4 months. I'm actually recording this on September 4th. It'll go live a week from now. But that is the challenge that I'm putting on myself. Now, let me share a little bit of background. The Geriatric Dietitian is my blog. It went live on June 29th, 2021. During the season, I was working full time. I was very busy, mom of 2 kids, wearing all the hats, doing contract work for other people as I built up my blog business, knowing that eventually this blog would be able to generate passive income. That was the goal. Now, as time went on, I did continue to build other brands like Dietitian Side Hustle, my Blogger Accelerator program where I help dietitians build blog businesses too, and the masterminds that I run. I just continued to add more things to what I do to where I will say most of my shift in business now is really serving dietitians and other healthcare professionals. That's primarily what I do. So my blog, The Geriatric Dietitian, if I'm honest, I'm like totally hands off with this brand, like 99%. I do pay someone who manages my blogs on the back end, so he makes sure they're updated. He runs all the special behind the scenes to make sure the tech is still working. For several years, I did have a blog manager running the blog, but we ended that working relationship last year. So literally, I have not been in the blog for a long time. Although let me back it up. A few months ago, earlier this year, I had 2 awesome dietetic interns I worked with, and they wrote some blog articles. So there are 2 new blog articles on the blog written by them. But when I say I don't spend time in the Geriatric Dietitian, I really mean it. So this 2X project is going to be me putting my hands back on the blog, making a plan to 2X it. Again, I'm starting this on September 4th, and my goal is to double the income on this blog in approximately 4 months, 118 days, and let's start diving into the audit. Now, when I look at auditing a business, I am looking first and foremost at the sales cycle. If you're not familiar with the sales cycle, this is how we make money as business owners. So this is kind of where YouTube comes in handy because I've got graphics, but I will explain it for all of our listeners. So I want you to imagine like kind of a circle with arrows. There's 4 arrows and there's 4 main parts along this circle. And they're all connected because it is never ending. The sales cycle is what we are on for the duration as a business owner. The very first part of the sales cycle is marketing. This is getting eyeballs on our stuff. Then lead acquisition. This is getting people into our world. Then sales, putting out offers to the right people. And then fulfillment, fulfilling on what people bought. And then we go back to marketing. Now, I'm going to go in more detail with what each one means, but I just want you guys to picture like this circle, 4 arrows going in a circle: marketing, lead acquisition, sales, fulfillment. Marketing, lead acquisition, sales, fulfillment. So as we audit the geriatric dietitian, this is what we're looking at. We're looking at where are my strong suits? Where am I lacking? And then what can I do to strengthen the sales cycle? Because that is how I get clients. That is how I get emails. This is how I get sales. So one thing I actually did want to share a little bit about before we dive too deep is my niche for the geriatric dietitian. Now, again, I started this blog in 2019. It's been a minute. It's been a minute since this blog went live. And right now on the blog, my target audience, who I am really focusing on, are caregivers of sick, frail, older adults. Now, the geriatric dietitian is a very broad brand. I mean, an older adult, like geriatric dietetics, that's anyone from like age 65 to end of life. And we know that someone who's 65 and still working is very different than someone who's 100 in a nursing home, right? So it's such a broad range. But when I first started, a lot of my focus was on the sick, frail older adult, the older adult who's struggling to maintain their weight, who's experiencing sarcopenia, who is going to the hospital, going to, the nursing home, and they want to, maintain their strength, be independent. And I also knew the truth of the matter is it's not often the older adult themselves looking for content online of how do I stop unintended weight loss and, promote my health. Yes, they do. They certainly do. But I will say the majority of people who are looking for that information are actually the caregivers of older adults and family members, people who love them and they say, oh my gosh, grandma's weight's declining. I got to do something to help. They're the ones online Googling, looking for this information. So when I started, that was my niche. On the website, actually, I have pulled up on my slides. It's a little clip from the website, The Geriatric Dietitian, and it says, helping the elderly by providing geriatric nutrition resources to family and caregivers. So that's a little bit broad, but if you dig deeper, it really is focusing on sick, frail, older adults. So on the blog, I have, I should have counted this ahead of time. I'm looking at the categories. I've got a lot of articles on the website. I have them broken down into multiple categories, including fiber, gaining weight, geriatric nutrition, high calorie, malnutrition, protein, soft foods, vegetarian, and vitamin B12. And so as I was creating content over time, and I'm like, okay, there's themes, there's buckets of content, that's when I started making categories. But as I read that, I hope that you're hearing that the content I'm putting out on my blog is actually broader than just sick, frail, older adults. We're talking more fiber for bowel health. We're talking soft foods if you have problems chewing. We're talking about meeting your nutrition needs to get enough protein, vegetarian options, B12. So even though my niche is caregivers of sick, frail, older adults, what's actually on the blog is a lot broader. So I just want to note that because that's going to be part of the audit when I come to some opportunities. So now what I have pulled up on my screen is I've got the sales cycle again. Remember, marketing, lead acquisition, sales, fulfillment. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of give examples of what's in each part of the sales cycle, and then I'll share the data for the geriatric dietitian. So kind of what we're looking at and then what the geriatric dietitian has. So under marketing, this is all about getting eyeballs on your stuff. One of our biggest problems in business is people do not know we exist. We need to let more people know we exist, the right people who are our ideal client, and really get ourselves out there. So how we do this is through social media, blogging, affiliates where we're working with other people to promote their stuff. They promote our stuff. Partnerships, which can be an affiliate, but this is where you're teaming up with other people to, again, promote each other's stuff. So it's kind of like cross promotion. A lot more details to it, but we're not here to talk about that on this podcast episode. Another way for marketing is podcasting through the geriatric dietitian. I don't have a podcast, but through Dietitian Side Hustle, you are listening to one of the forms of marketing that I have to reach more people, which is this podcast. And then YouTube. And if you're watching this on Dietitian Side Hustle, again, this is another way that I serve you guys. So let's look at those items specific to the geriatric dietitian. So with the geriatric dietitian, I do have several social media pages, but I want to clarify that I am not active on anything. Okay? Hands off. Every once in a while, if I get an inkling, I might make a little post, but very seldom. So I do have a Facebook page for the geriatric dietitian, and it currently has 1.4 thousand followers. I have a Facebook group, but this Facebook group is actually specific to geriatric dietitians. It is not serving my ideal clients. It is not serving, it's serving geriatric dietitians. And I have 2,565 people. I will say of all my social media, that group is the most active, but it's because of other dietitians who are just awesome, sharing information and supporting each other. I'm barely even moderate that group. Unless someone sends me a notification of, hey, Katie, a spammer got in here, you need to delete this, then I don't even go in there. Instagram. I have 5,519 followers on Instagram. That's pretty good. That's more than I have for Dietitian Side Hustle. And I try hard for Dietitian Side Hustle to grow. And again, I'm not posting content on that Instagram page. So I'm like, dang, that's a lot of followers. And it also shows me that there's very clearly interest in the brand, right? If people are following it. I'm pulling it up right now on my phone. I should have pulled it up ahead of time to look at this, but I do occasionally post things, but again, not often. I think, yeah, I haven't posted, 2021 is when I stopped posting on the geriatric dietitian. And then I have two posts in 2023, one post in 2024. Oh no, two posts in 2024, and then none in 2025. Okay. So I want to make that clear that I am not using Instagram, but people are still following. That's a good number. On X or Twitter, I have 178 followers. I probably haven't posted since the dawn of time on that platform. On Pinterest, that probably is the social media platform that I've leveraged the most. When I had a blog manager, she was creating content for Pinterest for me. So that was even up to a year ago, content was going out for that. So my Pinterest, I'm going to share a few details of the data on that because that's actually going to be part of an action item I have. But I currently have 3.9 thousand followers on Pinterest. And so looking at data specific to Pinterest, in the last 30 days, my Pinterest page has had 142,000 impressions. I know that sounds like a lot. 142,000? That just means someone saw it. They scrolled by and they passed one of my posts. That's not that fancy. I mean, like with anything, we want to get in front of more and more eyeballs to increase the likelihood they click. But let me tell you about the clicks that actually matter, or the details that matter. So I had 10,000 people who actually engaged with the account. Okay. 142,000 saw it, but 10,000 actually engaged. And engagement on Pinterest means they either they clicked into it, they saved it, they liked it, they took some type of action. They didn't just scroll past it. 870 saves in the last 30 days, which is good. That's one of the details that Pinterest looks at for strength of a site. Saves and outbound clicks. So saves was 870. And then outbound clicks is what I care about most as a blogger, is about 2,000 outbound clicks per month, which means 2,000 humans every month are clicking from my Pinterest page to the website, The Geriatric Dietitian. And when they go to my website, I make money. So I make money through multiple ways. I'll mention it on this episode. But yeah, so I would say Pinterest is my best social media platform. And if you're not familiar with Pinterest, Pinterest is a search engine. That's what it is. So is YouTube. I'll talk about that in a minute. But so with the blog, obviously the Geriatric Dietitian is a blog. And looking at my data for last month, I had 58,675 sessions. Think of a session as someone coming to the website. So close to 60,000 people coming to the website. So I will say with the blog, my traffic has, over the years, it's gone up, it's gone down, it's gone up. And I honestly think it's doing pretty darn good at 60,000 sessions a month. I mean, that's humans I don't even know for a blog I'm not even touching. I'm here for it. Now, I don't have any affiliate partnerships set up. I do have Amazon affiliates, but I'll explain that later in when I talk about my products. But that's not like a partnership. That's not like a big source of income or a way to get in front of lots of eyeballs. That's just more a tiny little income stream I have. I don't have a podcast for the Geriatric Dietitian, but I do have a YouTube with only 12 videos. And gosh, I should have looked at it to see, when the last time I posted a video on there was, because it's been years. But I do have 345 subscribers, which honestly isn't bad. And the cool thing about YouTube is a search engine. It is the number 2 search engine, and it is owned by the people who have the number 1 search engine, which is Google. So if I can get more traffic through Google or more videos out there too, it can also help with having me show up on Google video search. So it's kind of, as a blogger, it's like, ooh. And YouTube also has opportunity for monetization. Like there's so many opportunities there. But that is where the Geriatric Dietitian stands right now with marketing. Now let's look at lead acquisition. Lead acquisition is, it's not like eyeballs of people see our stuff. This is where people actually say, hey, I like what it is you do. I like what it is that you have to offer. I want to get in your world. And this is where they get on our email list or text message list. Now, I'm not going to talk about text message marketing. I'm really going to focus on email marketing because this is the primary one that most of you will be focusing on. So lead acquisition means it's not just someone who knows you exist, someone who likes your stuff online, clicks on it. This is someone who has exchanged their name and email and are now a lead. They are someone who is actually interested in what you have to offer. And leads are great because leads are more likely to purchase your stuff and you're able to communicate with them directly. I mean, honestly, with marketing, algorithms change all the time. You don't technically own your YouTube. My business coach had an awesome YouTube. One of his VAs, somehow a hacker got in through his VA's login and they went in and they deleted years of his YouTube content and put in all this crypto junk. So it's like snap of the fingers, all the years he put into building his YouTube gone. Now, I'm not saying don't do YouTube because you'll hear I am going to be doing YouTube, but it just really drives home the importance that we want to get people on our email list because the email list we own. That is ours. People can certainly unsubscribe, and we always have to make sure they have that option. But that list, we can send an email to someone's inbox at any time to provide value, to let them know about an opportunity. So really, that's one of the big goals of any business. It's not just like, hey, I exist, but let's get this list of interested people that we're able to actively serve. So let's talk about lead acquisition for the Geriatric Dietitian. So if you're watching this on YouTube, I probably have a look of shame in my face because, you guys, I do not have an email list for the Geriatric Dietitian. Now, before you judge me too hard, because I'm saying it's one of the most important parts of business, when I started the Geriatric Dietitian, I actually did start an email list. I started it on MailChimp. Now, I started with a free account, and then as I built the Geriatric Dietitian, it started making money. I started a food blog. I often call this the sister website of the Geriatric Dietitian. It is called High Calorie Recipes. So I just want to take you back in time several years, still working full time, wearing a million hats. I'm running the Geriatric Dietitian, High Calorie Recipes, and there's a lot of overlap between the two. There really is, because again, I was focusing on sick, frail, older adults. Because of that overlap, I actually started creating lead magnets that were focused on high calorie. Actually, one of my best lead magnets was a weight gaining meal plan because, everyone just wants a meal plan for some reason. And so what happened is I had so many people subscribing to that weight gaining meal plan that let me describe this in a few words. It's like it was a good thing, but also a bad thing. It was a good thing that I got thousands and thousands and thousands of subscribers. The bad thing is that I no longer was able to send emails because my free account locked out, and I would have had to pay a lot of money through MailChimp to send emails. And because I was working full time and I wasn't leveraging email marketing in the way that would make that investment worth it. I'm not opposed to paying for email marketing, totally worth it. But when I didn't have the time and the strategy to do it, I just am like, oh, is that really worth my money? So what I did, I ended up switching over to Flowdesk, which at the time, this will be changing too, but they offered like unlimited. It didn't matter how many subscribers you had, because with MailChimp and other ones, like you pretty much pay based on the number of subscribers you have. And so with Flowdesk, I actually pay $19 a month for unlimited email marketing. So I switched over to Flowdesk, and at that time, I made the decision to just create an email list for high calorie recipes. And so really everyone I send from the Geriatric Dietitian blog and High Calorie Recipe blog, they go to one email list, and that is the High Calorie Recipes email list. And I have like over 15,000 active subscribers, which is pretty good actually, if you ask me. So with lead acquisition for the geriatric dietitian, I have no email list. I've been deferring to high calorie recipes. So let's talk about sales. So eyeballs with marketing, getting leads with, typically emails, now sales. How are you actually letting people know about your offers to, exchange value for money? How are you making these sales? Now, there's multiple ways to make sales depending on what you're selling. If you're selling something more high ticket, you might get on a sales call. If it's something that maybe isn't as high a ticket, maybe you just have a sales page, a link on your website. Someone goes like, oh, that's a cool product. Let me buy it for $19.99. It doesn't take much of a conversation. You could also have sales promotions where you're doing, you put out an email for like the Black Friday special. That's coming up soon, right? National Nutrition Month special, a promotion where they either get extra bonuses or maybe they save money, something time limited or, limited to this number of people, something to really create urgency where people want to buy. And then also conversion events. Conversion events are things like a webinar, a masterclass, a challenge where you get people to sign up. They typically show up live. And then at the end, you put out an offer, and that is how you make sales. So let me just talk about the geriatric dietitian, how I make sales. It's pretty wimpy. So because I don't have email marketing, that limits a lot of the ways that I make sales. I'm not selling it all through email with that brand. So if you go to the geriatric dietitian, there's a page at the top that says shop. So if you go there, it does have my products. And then as applicable in articles. So if I'm writing a blog article about high protein foods, I'll have at the bottom or throughout check out my high protein foods list and a link to this product they can buy. Now, I also sell a lot of products through Well-Resourced Dietitian, formerly known as RD to RD. So that is one way that I sell. And so people who are going to that website, because honestly, Megan, who runs that website, does really great SEO herself. So people come to it. So I make sales by people coming through Well-Resourced Dietitian who might not even know my website. And then also a smidgen of sales is coming through Amazon, Kindle Direct Publishing. I have self-published one cookbook that used to be just an ebook, and now it's available on Amazon. So someone might find that content through Amazon. So the sales on the geriatric dietitian are very wimpy. Okay. So let's talk about fulfillment. Fulfillment is honestly easy peasy. This is where you fulfill on what someone bought. Now, this could be if you're trading time for money. Maybe they bought a group package or one-on-one. They bought it. Now you are actually spending time to fulfill. But there's a lot of things where fulfillment is set up through automations. I create a course, one and done. They click buy. I just get an email. Says they bought it. I got the money. Emails are sent out. They get the content. The same as with digital goods, where, someone buys it and the fulfillment is all automatic. This is, more passive income. But then fulfillment could also look like contract work if you're the side hustler doing work for other people, which I do a little bit of that. So within the geriatric dietitian, my income streams, I'm not going to list every product that I have, but I have passive income streams and active income streams. Passive means I'm not trading time for money. Active means I'm trading time for money. I don't do much active income in the geriatric dietitian, but sometimes I do. So when it comes to passive, I make money through ad revenue. If someone goes to my website, they put eyeballs on it, they don't even have to click on those ads. I make money. I make money through selling digital goods. I make money through selling ebooks, and that one ebook that is now on Amazon through Kindle Direct Publishing. I have a course that I sell, but I do want to emphasize that that course is connected to high calorie recipes. It's Gaining Weight Made Easy. So it really is focused on that brand. And then I do have Amazon affiliates. And then the active income that I sometimes do is I sometimes work with brands and I still sometimes do speaking gigs because I like doing that stuff and my brand is legit. So it really gives me those opportunities. So this is the audit of the sales cycle, where my brand is at with marketing, lead acquisition, sales, and fulfillment. Now, I want to talk to you guys about the money, specifically passive income, that my blog has made over the last 3 months. Now, when I first started my blog, I was sharing passive income reports on the regular. It was really fun. And, I've had times where income's higher, not really much lower than what it is right now, but honestly, the blog's doing pretty good because I want to emphasize this is all passive income and I am not actively working in this brand. So if you're on YouTube, there are three little blocks of a template I used to share all the time with my passive income reports. And so I'm going to kind of read them aloud for anyone on the podcast listening. And I'm just going to tell you high level and then I'll share the details. So my website over the last 3 months, I've made approximately $3,000 in passive income. And that is from, if we look at the traffic for my website, approximately 60,000 sessions per month. So over the last 90 days. So if we took the last 90 days and we averaged them per month, about $3,000 per month for 60,000 sessions. I hope I said that right. Sometimes what I think I say in my brain doesn't actually come out in words, so I'm going to repeat that. The blog, The Geriatric Dietitian, is making on average $3,000 a month in passive income from 60,000 sessions, visitors per month. And those numbers are important. And I'll kind of share it later because business is a numbers game. We could tweak around with the math and do other things. So let me kind of share where this money's coming from. So in June of 2025, the blog made $2,734. $97 came from one course sale. $2,435 came from ad revenue. $19.99 came from one ebook sale. $128, not thousand. $128 came from affiliates, and $53 came from digital goods, specifically selling products on Well-Resourced Dietitian. In July, the blog made $3,143. $97 came through one course. $2,925 came from ads. $39 came from selling two ebooks. $18 came from Amazon affiliates, and $61 came from digital goods, the Well-Resourced Dietitian. And then in August, which was last month, the blog made $3,111. $97 came from a course sale, $2,834 from ads, $99 from ebooks. I think I sold 5. $40 from Amazon affiliates, and then about $40 through selling digital goods. So I hope that made sense. I hope I said the words right. But again, on average, $3,000 in passive income, which I will tell you, this is why I love blogging, you guys. I mean, the fact that I'm not touching these blogs and they're making me $3,000 a month, I still can't get over it. So this is when, I was thinking about, okay, we got 4 months left in the year. What am I going to do? Okay, let me take this brand that's just hanging out. Let me really leverage it because I really have been hands off in it. So let's kind of summarize the audit. Let me talk about the 5 biggest gaps that I found in the audit looking at the sales cycle for my brand, The Geriatric Dietitian. Now we can get nitty gritty and lots of things, but we're going to talk about 5 main things. Number 1, my niche. What I would like to do is include older adults themselves in my niche and go beyond just sick, frail, older adults. Because really the content that's already there, it's not just for sick, frail, older adults. That was my plan when I started, but it went beyond that. So really, the first big gap I see is that my niche really isn't clear. There is a gap between what my niche is and what my content is. And also, I think there's a gap between who's looking for stuff. I've been featured quite a lot lately in media. In the last month, I've been featured in the Washington Post, in Parade Magazine, and twice in AARP. And I keep getting older adults emailing me saying, "Hey, Katie, how can I get on your email list?" So these aren't caregivers, these are older adults. So anyways, gap number 1, my niche. Gap number 2, underutilized social media. I've got pretty decent followings on some of those accounts. I mean, I know some of you work real hard on social media and you know how hard it is to get 5,000 people following you on Instagram. Decent following, no activity. So there's definitely a gap in my social media. Next gap, probably my biggest one, is no email list. I don't know why. I just feel so much shame in saying that. Not shame, but kind of giggly shame. I don't carry shame. But it's just like, oh my gosh, this is like the silliest thing ever. Why do I not have an email list? Gap number 4, very limited means of sales and promotion. Because I don't have an email list, I don't do conversion events, I don't do calls. There's a lot of things that I don't do. So, I mean, as I was sharing what I was selling, I have a $97 course that's great. People love it. I'm selling one course a month. That's great for passive. But the reason I'm only selling one a month is because there's some gaps in the sales cycle. Okay, I'll kind of explain that again in a minute. And then big gap number 5 is the products that I'm selling on the Geriatric Dietitian really lean towards the high calorie recipes brand. My ebooks are all about high calorie. My course is all about high calorie, and probably half of my handouts are about high calorie. So I'm going to repeat those gaps, and then we're going to talk again briefly about the sales cycle. Then we're going to move on to the opportunity. So again, the 5 big gaps, there's a gap in my niche between who I say I'm serving versus who I'm actually serving and could be serving. Underutilized social media. I've got decent followings, but no activity. No email list. Very limited means of sales and promotion. And then my products are leaning really heavily into a different brand. So when we imagine the sales cycle, and this is where I have a graphic up on my screen if you're watching this on YouTube. So we're going to visualize right now. Marketing, lead acquisition, sales, fulfillment. It's a circle, right? It keeps itself going. My marketing is pretty strong. It could be stronger. I'm going to lean into that. But honestly, 60,000 humans I don't know are coming to my website every month. That's pretty good. But then we go into the next part, lead acquisition. There's an entire gap in the chain. Total gap in the chain. Then we go into sales, and if you were to see this, I have the arrow, it's really faded out. My sales are super weak, guys. And what I mean by my sales is the offers I'm putting out, the way that I'm putting out opportunities for people to buy stuff is real weak. And as a result, my sales are weak because people aren't buying. And then my fulfillment, I'm putting kind of weak just because my fulfillment's not really specific to who I want to be serving through this brand. So when I look at this brand, I'm like, okay, it's making $3,000 a month. That is awesome. But then also, it's totally not optimized. If I can just, tighten up some of these spots on the sales cycle, this blog could be making a lot of money. And my plan to 2x between now and the end of the year is absolutely possible. Is it audacious? Absolutely. I will say blog growth doesn't tend to be very fast. It just doesn't. But because this is an established brand, I think it's possible. And I like to dream big. And if I don't make it, that's okay. I will eventually. Let me clarify this. I want you all to dream big, but also understand the path and the timeline might look different. And that's why I'm sharing this with you guys, because I want you guys to see. I'm going to go gangbusters. I'm going to go gangbusters to try to 2x my income through this brand. But it might not happen the way I want to, and the timeline might not happen. We get to end of this year, and I haven't done it. It's just that I haven't done it yet. It doesn't mean that I failed. Okay. So I want to share that. So let's talk about the biggest opportunities. Now, of course, we can nitpick on so many things, but I'm going to focus on 4 big opportunities. I have an opportunity to increase traffic by diversifying streams of traffic. Now, as a blogger, we bring in traffic through multiple streams of traffic. Google's been a little crazy lately. I still get almost all of my traffic through Google, and it's actually served my blog really well. I know there's been a lot of talk online of people losing traffic. My website's doing great. Honestly, it really is. So Google's still really awesome. But this traffic source that I really want to leverage is Pinterest. Pinterest is, I would say, like the number 2 top place for traffic that bloggers should be focusing on. So opportunity number 1, increasing traffic by diversifying streams of traffic. Specifically, I'm going to be leveraging Pinterest. Next opportunity, increase visibility and the know, like, trust factor through YouTube. YouTube is increasing in popularity. You guys, getting on video, providing content is so valuable, and there is a gap in the market right now. There's a gap in what's on YouTube. I have so much content on my website. All I have to do is pull up an article, talk to the camera, and make a video with that content. It's going to serve a lot of people. And as I grow my followers and subscribers on YouTube, then also that gives me opportunities to monetize through YouTube and then also drive more traffic to the website, but then also really build the brand, Because when people see me and get to know me, it's a game changer. Opportunity number 3, set up my email marketing. So this looks like setting up my account, creating a lead magnet to get people on my list, creating a welcome sequence, nurture sequence, the whole shebang, setting up something to where it really is hands off. And then creating products specific to Geriatric Dietitian, so separate from the high calorie recipes brand. So by doing these 4 things, I'm going to be making like the sales cycle a lot more solid. It will be, very, very solid. I'm working on marketing. I'm working on lead acquisition. I'm working on sales and all of the things. So let me tell you high level what my action items are. So the action items that I'm going to be doing is I'm actually taking a live 8-week course in Pinterest. I had my first course actually today. I was on like an hour. I had to leave early, so I had to finish the replay later. I had a call I had to be on. But As I learn, I'm going to be implementing these strategies. And this is from a guy who's crushing it on Pinterest. His name's Mike. He runs Stupid Simple SEO. I adore him. I'm in all of his programs, and he's really been crushing it on Pinterest. So I'm like, teach me what you know. I will do the things. Number two, I'm going to start my YouTube. And I say start, I'm on it, but again, I haven't touched it for ever. So I really need to leverage strategy for YouTube. I want to make like a good intro video, get some good equipment for lighting and whatnot and sound, and then I'm just going to start. I want to set up my email. Get my email, set up the account, create the freebie, make those sequences and promote it, and then create a geriatric nutrition course. And honestly, this has been on my bucket list since day one. And I've had an amazing dietetic intern who actually drafted a geriatric nutrition course for caregivers. So there, I have content. It won't be that hard for me to create. And I definitely think the need's out there based on my audience. Okay, so let's talk about the 2X path. When I coach my students, what we always do is we look at where are you now? Where do you want to be? And what are the barriers that are going to prevent you from getting there? And what are we going to do to overcome those barriers? Very simple. Point A to point B. What's going to get in the way? How do we prevent that from getting in the way? So let me tell you the 2X path for the geriatric dietitian. So right now, the blog is making $3,000 in passive income per month with approximately 60,000 sessions. Where I want to be by December 31st, 2025, I want to be making $6,000 in passive income per month through increased sessions, increased traffic to the website, through lead acquisition, and through sales. So let's talk about my barriers, because that sounds easy, right? Point A, point B. But right now, when I think about my biggest barrier, it comes down to two things: time and energy. Time and energy. I am a single mom who primarily works when my kids are in school. So the time window for work is limited. And this is not the only part of my business. I run Dietitian Side Hustle, podcast episodes every month, all the stuff I do in that brand. My blogging accelerator program. We have a membership, which is awesome. We have our platinum program. And then I also have a mastermind that I run. In addition to that, I do have 3 more trips scheduled between now and the end of the year. I'm also writing a book. Y'all know that I've been sharing it. Dietitian Side Hustle is launching November 5th. And with that comes a lot of deadlines, a lot of promotions. So when I look at, oh my gosh, I have so many things going on. How am I going to do this? But it's not just time, it's also energy. And I've shared this a little bit on the podcast, but I've really been struggling with my health this year with a lot of pain, with debilitating migraines, my back issues, and just feeling like I've got more days where I feel like crap and I can't even function than I actually have good days. And it's been really, really hard. It's been taking me out. Now, I will say I'm finally on a tipping point. I think my migraines are finally under control. I've got a medication I'm on. I've got a plan in place. I've got all kinds of alternative therapies. I'm like stacking everything. And I'm finally at the point where I'm like, I think I'm doing a lot better. I think as long as I've got enough energy, I can do this. So if those are my big barriers, time and energy. I'm a single mom. I primarily just work when my kids are in school. I'm a full-time mom, but I also run these businesses. I run lots of different parts of my business. I'm writing a book. I got this big project going on, and I'm been dealing with health issues. So what are the ways that I'm going to be able to overcome those barriers? Number 1, accountability. This is the biggest one, you guys. I just told all of you guys what I'm going to do. Because I told you what I'm going to do, I'm going to do everything on my end to make sure it gets done. Whether we 2X it or not, Katie over here is going to be doing the thing because I promised you I would. Accountability. Let people know what you're doing. Number 2, business coaching. I am in the Smart Success Healthcare Platinum Mastermind. I have a business coach and I have my peers around me who I can lean on if I'm struggling. Also, creation of an action plan with checklists. This isn't going to be pie in the sky. I hope I 2X. I'm going to share in just a minute what my goal and my action items are. And then I'm going to continue to prioritize my health because if everything's not going on good with Katie, then none of the other stuff's going to show up. So I have to continue prioritizing my health. So let's talk about what my big goal is and the specific action plans that I will be doing to reach that goal. So my goal is to 2X income from the geriatric dietitian from $3,000 to $6,000 a month by December 31st, 2025. My big 4 action items with some of the checklist items under it. Number 1, leverage Pinterest. The 2 little check boxes under that are take this 8-week course and implement the strategies. I don't have much more because if I'm honest, I don't entirely know what he's going to teach us and tell us to do. So, I'm just like, well, I'm just going to do whatever Mike tells me to do and trust the process that what he tells me will work. Number 2, I'm going to leverage YouTube. Now, I'm going to be learning some strategy, but I don't have time to really go deep into it. I'm going deep in Pinterest, but I'm going to be leveraging ChatGPT with this. I'm going to be asking it, hey, what do I need to know? What are the most important things I need to do? I know enough about YouTube. I know the importance of thumbnails. I know the importance of, I know some YouTube strategy, but I'm just going to ask ChatGPT to kind of help me go along faster. I'm also going to make a little bit of a video intro for my long form videos. I also want to get some better equipment. I don't just want to be recording all of my videos in my office. For those of you who see where I am, I want to record in the kitchen and other places. And so I need to get some good lighting because my house is low ceilings. It's like a 70s house. It doesn't have good lighting. So I want to get some good equipment to make sure that I'm putting out quality content. I also need to plan out my videos. I'm going to leverage ChatGPT for that. I have so much content on the blog, so much content. How can I take what I already have, repurpose it, script it out, and then I can just talk to a microphone and a camera. I've gotten pretty decent at talking, aside from mixing up my words, but that's okay. And then my goal is to publish videos at least weekly. With setting up email, number 1, securing a custom domain. Katie@thegeriatricdietitian.com. A custom domain is where it's not like, thegeriatricdietitian@gmail.com. It's not a gmail.com email. It's an email specific to your website. So securing a custom domain, setting up an email account, creating my freebie that's going to get people on the email list, creating a welcome sequence, and then creating a year-long nurture sequence. So when people get on the list, they learn more about the brand, but then continue to be nurtured for the next year. And then I'm just going to promote that freebie like crazy and start building the list. I don't have any specific goals there with how many people. That's okay. That's okay. And then the last thing is creating a course. Remember, I've already got some content, so I am going to be creating the slides, recording the content, uploading it, packaging it, and also promoting it through my new platforms of promotion. So anyways, that is what I had for you with this episode today, guys. It's the Geriatric Dietitian 2X project. I'm really excited about it. We'll see how it goes. But you guys, I told you in the last episode, so much can change in 4 months. Sometimes we think we need tons of time to do things. And I just want to encourage you guys to go out there and set big, audacious goals and create a plan and get to work. So I'll be sure on the podcast to come back and I'll share updates with, how things go. I don't know exactly, like maybe I'll come halfway or maybe I'll just come at the end. I don't know yet, but I will be sure to keep you guys in the loop with how things are going. And absolutely, you'll know how things are at the end, how things go, because again, this is the plan. We'll see how life lifes. So anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this episode, kind of seeing behind the scenes when I did a little bit of a business coaching on my own business, a little bit of an audit, looking at opportunities, looking at, struggles and all the things. So as always, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I appreciate each and every one of you. Be sure to head on over to katiedodd.com. That is my Linktree page to learn about all the ways that we can work together. And I will see you all next week on the podcast. Bye, guys.